the only 4 upper body exercises you need, men over 40. Sounds familiar? Your shoulder clicks during bench press or your elbow aches after curls. I had to read the studies on joint wear 3 times to believe it. For men over 40, more exercises often mean more problems, not more growth. Here's what fascinated me. When I analyzed joint kinematics, I found you can stimulate every major upper body muscle with just 4 movements if you choose them based on joint function, not just muscle. We're cutting the fluff and focusing on exercises that build strength through the fullest, safest range of motion. This is the minimalist maximum result approach. Number 1, horizontal push, dumbbell bench press. We grew up believing the barbell bench press was the crown jewel of upper body strength. In serious lifting circles, it became the scoreboard exercise. What I discovered after digging into joint degeneration research is that many disciplined men quietly sabotage their longevity by forcing their shoulders into a locked, unnatural path under heavy load. The traditional barbell fixes your wrists, elbows, and shoulders into one rigid line. My analysis of shoulder mechanics shows the shoulder joint thrives on micro adjustments during pressing, and removing that freedom increases rotator cuff stress over decades, not just workouts. We also carry pride into pressing movements. I noticed in strength studies and orthopedic case reviews that ego lifting combined with reduced shoulder mobility creates a silent accumulation of joint irritation. The body adapts for a while, and then compensation patterns begin. That clicking or deep shoulder tightness is rarely random. It is often a mechanical negotiation your body is losing. What changed my entire framework was studying pressing through joint function rather than muscle isolation. The dumbbell bench press using a neutral grip allows the palms to face each other, which lets the shoulders rotate naturally. I found this grip subtly guides the elbows closer to the torso, reducing ligament strain while maintaining pressing power. Research from the American Council on Exercise surprised me by showing higher muscle activation and greater stabilization demands when dumbbells are used. The practical value reaches far beyond the gym. My evaluation of functional movement patterns shows this exercise strengthens real-world pushing ability, whether controlling heavy doors, lifting luggage, or maintaining athletic performance during recreational sports. It builds chest density without sacrificing shoulder lifespan, which is the real luxury investment in physical strength. Men dealing with existing shoulder impingement, elbow tendonitis, or limited wrist mobility should reduce load and shorten range of motion initially. Using a slight incline bench or alternating single arm presses can further reduce joint stress while preserving muscle engagement. Drop your name and where you're watching from in the comments. I like seeing how far this brotherhood of disciplined men reaches. Pressing strength builds the front of the body, but my deeper research kept revealing a hidden imbalance pattern that quietly erodes posture and strength. Number 2, vertical pull, lat pull down, scapular control focus. We often treat pull-ups like a badge of honor, and I respect that ambition. What I uncovered while reviewing biomechanical breakdowns is that many disciplined men rush into pull-ups with momentum, swinging the body and shortening the range of motion. That pattern shifts tension away from the large back muscles. That trade-off weakens real pulling strength while increasing irritation in joints that were never designed to carry the main load. Pride plays a sneaky role here. My analysis of strength progression data shows men frequently skip foundational control work because assisted movements feel less impressive. The result is underdeveloped scapular control. In simple language, the scapula is your shoulder blade, and it acts like the foundation of every pulling movement. When that foundation is unstable, your arms end up doing the job your back was built to handle. What consistently produced stronger and safer outcomes in the research was the lat pull-down performed with deliberate scapular depression before bending the arms. Think of it as setting your shoulder blades down and slightly back before the bar begins moving. I discovered that initiating the pull from the upper back spreads tension across the lats, rhomboids, and mid-traps instead of overloading the elbow joint or the small rotator cuff muscles. Experts from the National Strength and Conditioning Association repeatedly emphasize controlled pull-down mechanics as the safest pathway to building vertical pulling strength. When executed correctly, this movement develops the V-taper structure that signals strength, discipline, and physical authority. That upper back width also pulls the shoulders into a healthier alignment, reducing the rounded posture that slowly drains physical presence and breathing efficiency. The functional carryover is enormous. My evaluation of movement efficiency shows vertical pulling directly improves climbing strength, stabilizing heavy objects against the body, and maintaining torso control during physically demanding tasks. Men dealing with elbow sensitivity, shoulder instability, or grip fatigue should use a slightly wider neutral or semi-supinated grip and focus on slow, controlled repetitions rather than chasing heavier weight. Vertical pulling strengthens the back's width and power, but something deeper surprised me during my research. Shoulder protection depends heavily on a smaller muscle group that rarely receives attention, and ignoring it quietly accelerates joint wear. Number 3, horizontal pull, seated cable row. We spent years prioritizing pressing movements because they deliver visible chest and shoulder development quickly. What my review of long-term training patterns revealed is that many strong men quietly undertrain horizontal pulling, creating a structural imbalance between the front and back of the body. When pressing volume dominates, the shoulders gradually drift forward, the chest tightens, and the upper back weakens. That imbalance doesn't just affect appearance, it alters joint mechanics and increases the likelihood of shoulder irritation during nearly every upper body exercise. Another pattern I uncovered while studying lifting injury reports involves unsupported rowing variations. Many men load heavy bent over rows without realizing their lower back becomes the limiting factor instead of their upper back muscles. Over time, fatigue shifts technique and tension spreads into the lumbar spine, which steals focus from the muscles that should be driving the movement. What consistently produced stronger and safer results in both strength data and rehabilitation protocols was the seated cable row performed with spinal support and controlled tempo. Sitting upright with the torso supported removes lower back fatigue from the equation. That support allows full neurological focus on contracting the mid-back muscles, which are often underdeveloped even in experienced lifters. The technique is deceptively simple but rarely mastered. I discovered the most effective cue is pulling the elbows backward while maintaining a tall chest and keeping the shoulders gently pulled down. This alignment concentrates tension across the rhomboids, mid-trapezius, and rear shoulder fibers, rather than allowing the arms to dominate the movement. Physical therapy literature consistently shows that strong mid-back musculature significantly reduces shoulder injury risk by stabilizing the shoulder blades during both pushing and pulling activities. Posture carries influence far beyond appearance. My analysis of respiratory mechanics shows that an upright thoracic position improves breathing efficiency, which supports endurance, vocal authority, and spinal longevity. Men managing lower back sensitivity should maintain lighter resistance, focus on slower repetitions, and ensure the rib cage stays stacked over the hips to avoid spinal compensation. Balanced horizontal pulling corrects posture and strengthens structural support, but my research uncovered one pressing pattern that quietly determines long-term shoulder stability. Number 4, vertical push, landmine press. We respected the overhead barbell press for years because it symbolized raw shoulder strength. What my deep dive into shoulder mobility research exposed is that many disciplined men continue forcing strict overhead pressing even as natural mobility declines. Presses the joint rather than strengthening it. What surprised me while reviewing orthopedic motion studies is how frequently shoulder discomfort during overhead pressing is not a strength problem, but a mobility conflict. Over time, that pressure quietly reduces pressing power and increases the risk of chronic inflammation, which many men misinterpret as simple soreness. The solution that consistently appeared in both performance training and rehabilitation environments is the landmine press. This movement uses an angled pressing path rather than forcing the arms straight overhead. My analysis of joint loading patterns shows this angled trajectory reduces shoulder compression while still building serious pressing strength. The movement feels natural because it allows the shoulder to rotate freely during the press. That alignment protects ligaments and tendons while strengthening the anterior deltoids, upper chest, and stabilizing shoulder muscles. I found it fascinating that sports rehabilitation specialists frequently use landmine pressing to help athletes rebuild overhead strength after shoulder injuries, which reveals its reliability under real-world joint stress. The strength benefits extend beyond shoulder size. This movement challenges core stability because the angled load requires torso control to maintain balance. It improves total pressing power and strengthens the muscle groups responsible for reaching overhead, placing objects on shelves, and stabilizing heavy loads above shoulder height. Those daily movements quietly determine functional independence and physical authority. Men dealing with shoulder impingement, neck stiffness, or limited overhead mobility should start with lighter resistance and perform the movement in a half-kneeling position to improve core and spinal alignment while reducing joint strain. The long-term advantage that stood out in my research is joint preservation. This movement builds pressing strength without accelerating shoulder wear, which is a rare combination in upper body training. Bonus point. Reaching this stage means you take your strength seriously, and I respect that level of discipline. Comment the word strong below so I know you stayed committed all the way through. I pay attention to those comments because they tell me who is genuinely investing in long-term physical capability, not just chasing quick results. What my deeper evaluation of training longevity revealed is something rarely prioritized in most upper body programs. Many dedicated men treat rowing movements as accessory work, something squeezed in after pressing exercises when energy is already fading. That hierarchy quietly creates structural imbalance. My analysis of long-term lifting progression shows the men who maintain shoulder durability the longest often reverse that order. The bonus priority is simple but powerful. Treat horizontal rowing as a primary strength builder and match or slightly exceed your pressing volume with rowing volume. Physical therapy research consistently links strong mid and upper back muscles with reduced risk of chronic shoulder pain and postural decline. What surprised me most was how rowing builds postural endurance, which allows the shoulders to stay aligned even during fatigue. Rowing strength also amplifies performance across nearly every upper body movement by creating a stable base for pressing and overhead work. The broader benefits extend into stronger breathing mechanics, improved physical presence, and reduced injury probability. Shoulder health quietly determines how long a man can train with confidence, power, and independence. Remember at the start, I told you that more exercises often create more joint problems instead of more growth? Now you know why. Precision beats volume when strength is built around joint function, not ego or tradition. We rebuilt pressing strength with a neutral grip dumbbell bench to protect the shoulders while building dense chest power. We reinforced vertical pulling with scapular-controlled pulldowns to develop real back width and safe pulling strength. We restored posture and upper back thickness with the seated cable row, creating balance between push and pull. We protected overhead strength using the landmine press to build durable, functional shoulders. And the bonus insight showed that prioritizing rowing volume quietly determines shoulder longevity and posture authority. You're 40, 45, 50, and beyond. That's not a disadvantage. That's experience meeting strategy. Strength at this stage isn't about proving anything. It's about staying capable, sharp, and physically reliable for decades. This is what we focus on here: building muscle, protecting joints, and staying athletic long term. If that helps you stay strong and independent, subscribe. I post weekly about performance, physique, and longevity training. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. Muscle earns attention. Durability earns respect. Feel free to suggest a topic you would like to watch next in the comment section. We will notify you once it's posted. And if you want to dive deeper, check out this video next. Gesture to end screen.